Oh man, my dogs and I were walking to the back field. Wasn't paying attention and almost walked up on that. Looks like a chicken snake because they get all kinked up like that. The dogs don't know what it is. I'm just going to let it go. Walk around it. Come on. Don't bother it. It does its things. It eats snakes and stuff like that, so we're just going to leave it alone, and there it goes. Maybe it'll go off and find a... As long as it leaves my chicks alone and my chickens, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So y'all know about the plum and the peach trees. And y'all know that I came out here with the puppies and spread some compost around the base of the trees. We're really just mulch around the base of the trees. Plum tree. Now y'all know about all that, okay? But let's go ahead and let's go take a look at the apple trees and talk about them. Let's go take a look at the pecan trees and talk about them, and take the pear trees, talk about them. And let's just talk about fruit trees in general and what some of my long-term preps are, or some of my long-term plans. This peach tree here we talked about in another video. We got the mulch around it. Now I don't know if half of it died during the winter or what. Here, a chicken hawk off in the distance. We got some blooms here coming up. Like I said, got a peach tree planted there. Hopefully I'll be able to, now that my wife and I are moved up here, we'll be able to get it going, get it better. I've got one over there inside those bushes. And here's a old peach tree inside of here that has been like abandoned. This is, I don't know how long this has been here. It's just been somewhat abandoned. And it's growing in the shade of this oak tree. Or rather, I say the oak tree is going next to the peach tree. This one here, I don't know. And I don't know what this kind is. It's going to have some kind of fruit on it, but I don't want to cut it down till we know for sure. So I need to come in here and just kind of... I didn't realize this was a peach tree, and I came in and used a set of shears to cut some limbs off. Which they look like they're pretty dead anyway, so maybe they needed to be cut off. Alright, so let's go take a look at the apple trees. As you can see, it's kind of grown up around the apple trees. I've got this mimosa tree that I need to cut that's just going to be shading. It's going to be shading out that apple tree there. We've got 4 of them planted here. A couple of yellow, I think a golden and a red, so they can cross-pollinate. These are on here to make sure that we didn't get, that the trees did not get bush hogged down whenever we were bush hogging through here. So we got to come in. Oh, there's some dewberries. I may leave those. Yeah, I may leave those. See those dewberries? Either a blackberry or a dewberry. We're going to leave those and cut around them. And years ago, there used to be a big blackberry patch out here, but it got cut down. It got bush hogged. Apple trees are finally starting to come out. It's finally starting to bloom. I probably need to come in and top a couple of these. So we got the 4 apple trees. Now that we've got some of the timber cut through here, we're going to come in and probably plant 2 more. Like another golden or a green or a red or just something so they can cross-pollinate. Cut that mimosa tree out. Plant a couple of more. Give us like 6 apple trees. Right now we just have the 4. This I think is called a toothache tree. I'm going to cut that down because it's going to be shading that apple tree. That apple tree's coming up nice. So we're going to get in here and cut the grass with a lawnmower, rake up, do some mulching around these fruit trees, these apple trees, like what we did with the peach and plum trees over there on the other side of that big oak tree, and get these going real good. I've got some sweet gum trees over here I need to cut down. There, and this is a private road. It's not a county road. Nobody can come down here except family members. So I need to get these cut down so they don't shade the fruit trees in the late evening sun. Now behind me, is a resource that a lot of people often overlook. It is a clump of wild plum trees. We've been protecting this. They come up on the land, have not bush hogged them. We've got some pine trees that are coming up. We're going to go in there and cut those pine trees down, these small ones, not the big ones, just these small ones right here. These produce a small fruit, just like a little, they don't produce a big plum. They produce just a small plum that attracts wildlife. Like you may get deer and stuff in here that eat these wild plums. So this is a natural resource that we're cultivating to attract wildlife, naturally occurring. I mean, this is all naturally occurring. We didn't plant this. They came up wild. We're just letting them sit there, do their thing, and at the same time attracting deer into the area. So whenever these get up a little bit bigger, I see some blooms up there. We may come in and just kind of thin them out, maybe a little bit, so they get a little bit bigger. But what they do is you get a bloom on them, like right there. And these blooms produce a little, like I said, a little small plum. And then wildlife like deer will come in here and eat these plums. If y'all remember, my son and I came in here and planted these pear trees a few years ago. And they've just been kind of overrun by vines and cherry laurels. I've got a bunch of stuff in here, and behind me is the south sun. I've got to get in here and get like this cherry laurel here taken out. And if you don't know which one, watch out for that chicken snake, because it was right over there whenever I saw it. This is the pear tree right here. See the blooms? And hopefully those will turn into pears. Every year it seems like these pear trees are just loaded down. I need to get this cleared out so my wife can get in here with the lawnmower and cut this. Maybe do some mulching around it. There's another mimosa tree, and they'll start leaning over and producing a lot of shade. So I need to get all this cleaned out before these pear trees are overtaken. And what I'd like to do is come over here and plant a third one. And here are the potatoes. I know this is outside the scope of the video, but I wanted to show y'all that the potatoes we planted are starting to come up. Hey puppy, yeah, puppy, huh? Let's see, there, over there, little green spot, there. So it's 2 weeks. So it's 2 weeks from the time we planted them to the time they started coming up. And some of them we'd already had rooted. And those are the big ones coming up with the buds, the multiple buds. The ones that were not rooted are smaller. But not all of them are coming up yet. But anyway, there's the Satsuma trees that we talked about, and the grapefruit that we talked about the other day. And the blueberry bushes are behind us. Grapefruit, which people with heart medicine or heart medication cannot eat. Satsuma. And the goal is to have layered fruit tree production, or multiple types of fruit trees. That if one fruit tree type fails to produce one year, then hopefully we'll have 2 or 3 things to take its place. If the Satsumas don't produce, then maybe we'll have apples and peaches. If the apples and peaches don't produce, maybe plums and pears. So right now, I think we've talked about 6 different types of fruit trees minus the wild plum, so that's 5. So if 1 or 2 fail to produce, and even if 1 doesn't produce halfway, we still have 2 types of fruit coming in that year. So that's the goal we're looking at. That's the goal we're going for. And I want to plant another Satsuma tree about 15 feet back over here. So that'll give us 3 Satsuma trees, grapefruit, and then another blueberry bush. So it's not like we're doing everything all at one time. I wish we could. You know, I wish I had $10,000, $20,000 just to dump into fruit tree production and fencing, but I don't. I just don't. I can't do that. I cannot afford to do that. So we're doing a little bit every year. Coming in and planting some fruit trees. Next year, plant some more fruit trees. Next year, plant some more fruit trees. Do the composting. He's playing with my wife's cabbage, or she was. One in the red is Zoe, one in the blue is Ellis. Hey, sure I put on a lot of weight and become well adjusted since I rescued them off the side of the road. Alright, guys and gals, I'm sorry for the hodgepodge of videos lately talking about, say, the Satsumas and the pears and the plums, or the not the plums, the peaches and the plums, but now y'all have a kind of a grand idea or a wider idea of how things are going and what we're working on. We're not just working on just, say, plums and peaches. We're working on also the apple trees, the Satsuma trees, so that if we have some type of long-term crap hits the fan situation, is that my family and I can have a source of fruits and then the vegetables like the potatoes and the squash we're going to be planting in a couple of weeks. And I'll talk to y'all later.